What is going on, guys? Today I'm going to be ranking all MCU Phase 5 and 6 projects based on my excitement for them. So obviously I'm leaving out Phase 4, and the reason why I'm leaving out the remaining projects of Phase 4, which only includes She-Hulk and Black Panther, simply because we already have trailers for those projects, so I feel like it's a little bit unfair to compare those against a bunch of projects that don't have any official trailers. There's some leaked footage online from Comic-Con, but I haven't seen any of it, so obviously it's not going to sway my opinion, although we do have some descriptions of those trailers, and I have seen a couple of descriptions, and of course I'm also basing it off of my prior experience with the different topics that the different movies and shows are covering, whether it's a sequel to something that existed before, characters returning in these different projects, or if it's based on a comic run that I have some familiarity with in some way, shape, or form. There's a bunch of factors that go into my excitement for these different projects, and this is all projects, not just the movies, but also the shows. Only for live action, though. We're not talking about all the animated stuff. Generally speaking, I'm not that excited for all the animated stuff. It's there, I'll probably watch some of it, but I'm not like really itching to see much of it. And as for She-Hulk and Black Panther Wakanda Forever, I'm really looking forward to Black Panther Wakanda Forever, especially after that trailer. Beforehand, I really didn't have much anticipation for it, but after the trailer, I thought it looked pretty damn good. She-Hulk, I still am reserving a lot of my judgment until I actually see it, because I don't know, man, a 30-minute episode TV comedy thing just does not sound like it's up my alley at all. But Daredevil being in it will be kind of interesting, I guess, so I'm definitely gonna check it out, but I don't really have much excitement for it, I guess. But let's get into the ranking itself. Coming in the number 15th spot, my least anticipated project from Phase 5 and 6 is going to be Agatha Coven of Chaos. So I just want to get this right off the bat and say that just because it's low on my list does not mean I'm not going to watch it. Obviously, I'm going to watch it. And also doesn't mean that I don't think it should exist at all. I'm okay with any of these existing. It's just simply that I'm just the least excited for it. I don't have much anticipation for it. Nor do I think it's going to be a bad show. Like, just because it's low on my list does not mean I think it's going to be bad. I just don't have many reasons to be excited for this show. First of all, it's a spin-off of a spin-off. It's a character that was in a spin-off show for Disney Plus, for Marvel, and she was a villain. She was an interesting villain. I liked her in WandaVision, but did I ever feel like I needed to see more of her? No. And if I ever wanted to see more of her, it would have been within a project that included Scarlet Witch, or, Wanda. I don't really care to see her in her own show. Could it be interesting? Maybe. There's some parts of witchcraft that I'm sure they can explore, and it could be interesting in some way, but I honestly just can't see myself really being that excited to watch fucking Agatha Harkness. Number 14 is going to be Ironheart. So this one could definitely go up after Black Panther Wakanda Forever, because she is actually going to be appearing in that film, and that's going to be our introduction to this character. So they can definitely excite me if the character is really good in that movie, but I have no familiarity with this character in terms of the comics. I don't know what sort of storylines they're going to be going for the show. Also, there's a bit of a, I guess you can say, bias I have. I prefer the films over the shows for the most part, so I'm definitely a little bit more excited for things that are films compared to shows. If it's a show, it's automatically a little bit less exciting for me personally. But that doesn't mean, obviously, shows can't be very high up on the list, because they can be. It's just the films definitely have some bit of an advantage, at least for my own personal opinion. But for Ironheart, like I said, don't really have much to talk about it. Number 13 is going to be Echo. So Echo is kind of similar to Agatha in the way that it's a spinoff of a spinoff with a character that I really didn't feel like I needed to see her have her own show. Like, I think Echo was a cool character, but I think she would have been just fine in like a Hawkeye season 2 or something. Like, I'm sure they're going to do a Hawkeye season 2, so why not just bring her back in that? Or bring her back in a new Daredevil series or something. Like, there's so many other ways to include the character of Echo in other things, but they want to do a whole show with her. Which, if they have a really interesting story to tell, sure, I'm down. Let's see it, but I don't know what it's going to be yet. The thing that puts this a little bit higher on the list above Ironheart and Agatha is simply the fact that Daredevil and Kingpin are going to be in the show. That's literally it. So yeah, that's why it's a little bit higher. Number 12 is The Marvels. So this is, of course, the Captain Marvel sequel, And it's not that high simply because I was not a big fan of the first Captain Marvel, mainly because of the character of Captain Marvel, which is obviously the most important thing about the movie, is the main character. And I just did not like Captain Marvel's character. I didn't even like her in Endgame all that much. And I think a big part of it was just the way they were writing her character. It's not Brie Larson. I think Brie Larson is a fantastic actress, and I think she's doing just fine with the role. I think she's a great Captain Marvel. But I don't really think the way they've been writing her has been all that interesting. She's been very emotionless, and she hasn't really opened up in any interesting human way. And I think they will give her that in this movie. It's a new director with Nia DaCosta, and she's a pretty solid director. I saw her recent film, Candyman, which came out last year. I wasn't crazy about the movie, but I think it was definitely well directed. So I think Nia DaCosta could do a pretty damn good job with this movie, and I hope she can give Carol some more personality, and I think she will, simply because of Kamala Khan joining the cast, which is definitely my favorite thing about the Miss Marvel show, which, you know, is to be expected because she's the main character. But I'm very glad to see that character coming over, because that character is very, you know, bright and bubbly. She has a really like bright personality to her, and that could work really well off of Carol's character, and I'm really interested to see how that, you know, plays in the movie. So that makes me a little bit more excited for it than I would have been otherwise. But at the end of the day, I don't really know what they're going to do. And I just hope it's something that's just a little more interesting than what the first one did, just because the first one I just don't think was a very good movie. Number 11 is going to be Loki Season 2. So I was a big fan of Loki. Big fan. It was definitely my favorite MCU show thus far. But the reason why it's a little bit lower is simply because we already saw the first season. Therefore, I'm not sure how different a second season could be. Obviously, it's going to be expanding the story, but it's like, I don't really know how to explain it other than when you see something for the first time, it's a little more exciting than it is to see it being continued. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something completely fresh and new like the new series have been. Like, you see, oh, like Moon Knight comes out, it's like, oh, it's something completely new. Miss Marvel comes out, it's something completely new. This is still just going to be continuing on the same story with this similar cast. I'm sure they're going to add some new characters in there as well. And I'm so excited to see what they do with the season 2. But like I said, at the end of the day, it still is just a continuation of Loki, which, again, excited for. Can't wait, but it's not like crazy high because some of these other projects are things that are just really new and fresh, and I'm just really interested to see what they can do with those projects. Number 10 is going to be Secret Invasion. So I didn't know anything about this. I looked into it a little bit, and it seems like it's going to be a much more mature show, which I'm all on board for. It seems much more like for, you know, older audiences. It's going to be starring Nick Fury, which is awesome. I mean, we haven't had a project in the MCU where Nick Fury is completely the lead. It's going to have a lot with the Skrulls, which is pretty interesting. It's going to probably be building off of Captain Marvel's story a little bit, which I'm really looking forward to. And I'm sure it's going to deal with a lot of the multiverse stuff as well that's going on. And I don't really know exactly what to expect other than the fact that the storyline is just going to be a little bit more mature, and it's going to feel less like a superhero show and more like a sci-fi thriller. And that is really exciting to me. Number 9 is actually going to be Thunderbolts. So this is another one that I didn't really have much excitement for until I looked into it a little bit. And to my knowledge, Thunderbolts are essentially, not exactly, but essentially the Suicide Squad of the Marvel cinematic, or the Marvel universe. So I don't know how they're going to do it exactly here. They obviously have been kind of building it up for the past couple years from a couple different projects. So I'm pretty certain at least US Agent is going to be in it, of course, from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because that Valentine, whatever her name was, that girl was kind of, you know, going out and finding different people to join. And I believe she was recruiting people for Thunderbolts, and she recruited US Agent. We also saw her recruit Yelena at the end of Black Widow. So we know US Agent and Yelena, whatever. At the very least, they both will be in it. But there's tons of other characters they can include. Mostly characters that are more so like anti-heroes, or heroes that aren't like the Captain America type heroes who are like, all good for the people and such. They're a little bit more brutal in their ways, and they're more so vigilante types. I think there's a lot of different characters they can be using for this, and I'm really interested to see what the characters will be. I'm really hoping Ghost Rider. If Ghost Rider makes his first appearance in Thunderbolts, that would be awesome. There has been a tease to Johnny Blaze, of course, who is Ghost Rider, within the newest She-Hulk trailer, which is awesome. I don't know if anybody caught it, but there was a little poster in one of the screenshots that said Johnny Blaze, so we know Ghost Rider is coming soon. I think Thunderbolts would be a great time to bring in Ghost Rider, and they can bring in so many other characters. Hell, they can bring in the Punisher if they wanted to. I don't think they will, but that would be awesome to see John Bernthal come back as the Punisher in Thunderbolts. There's tons of characters they can bring into Thunderbolts, and I'm really interested to see what the team will be, and that'll definitely change my excitement for this movie. But already that idea is just really exciting to me. It's like essentially like an anti-Avengers movie or something. I don't know, it just sounds really exciting to me, and I'm really looking forward to it. Number 8 is going to be Captain America New World Order. Of course, this is the 4th Captain America film, and this one is going to be starring Sam Wilson as the new Captain America, and I'm assuming it's going to have Bucky in it as well. I don't think they've confirmed that yet, but I'm just assuming it probably will have him. I don't know about any other characters. I don't know about Sharon Carter. I don't know about Zemo. I don't know where those characters are coming into play. I'm assuming those characters might also appear in Thunderbolts. Like, I think Zemo is definitely going to be in Thunderbolts as well. But I don't know if they're going to be appearing in this movie. I have no idea what the story is going to be about. I think one of the only reasons it's a little bit lower than the other ones is because I wasn't a big fan of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Not because of Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson was perfectly fine in that movie, or in that show. It was more so the villain side of things in that entire thing. And I believe a lot of the writers that worked on Falcon and Winter Soldier are returning to write for Captain America 4. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So I'm a little worried that their writing will carry over in terms of how they wrote the villains, and I really did not like how those villains were written in that show. I'm worried it's going to carry over to the movie, and it's going to be kind of a problem for whatever new villain they introduce in this movie. But it still is a Captain America movie, and I'm excited to see how Sam Wilson deals with being Captain America. And I'm really hoping, this is my number one hope for this movie, is that it really dives deep into the expectation of living up to, Steve Rogers, in terms of, not just in terms of like him being Captain America, but in terms of him being someone who is a super soldier, whereas Sam Wilson is not a super soldier. He's just a human who is a good fighter. That is something I really want them to dive deep into, because it's not something the Falcon Winter Soldier really covered on. They didn't really touch on that too much. Obviously, they had the super serum stuff going on, but they didn't really ever sit there and go, well, shit, I don't have the same abilities Cap has, and I'm going to take his mantle. I really want them to dive deep into that and show why he deserves this part, even if he doesn't have those superhuman abilities that Captain America has. Without him actually, I don't want him to take super serum. I don't think that would be good for his character, obviously, but I think they need to go in depth with why he deserves it, even if he doesn't have those same things. And I want to see him I want to see him go through some shit. I want to see him struggle and have to overcome a challenge. I really want to see a big character growth for Sam Wilson's character in this movie, and that'll make it a solid film. So that's what I'm excited to see. I'm just worried whatever villain they introduce, the writing for it will be all over the place, just because of how it was in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. Number 7 is gonna be Blade. So Blade, I am so excited for, because first of all, it's a new hero we're getting, but it's a hero that we have seen before in other Marvel films, just outside of the MCU, back in the 90s and leading into the early 2000s with the Blade trilogy. And I just recently saw the Blade trilogy for the first time, just about, 8 months ago on this channel, and I loved them. I mean, even the third one, which everyone trashed on, I still really enjoyed, even though I think it was, definitely not that great of a movie, but it was a guilty pleasure type of a movie. But the first one, and especially the second one, I really enjoyed. And I think there's a lot they can do with this, but the reason it's at number 7 and not higher is because I'm worried it's going to be PG-13. I think Blade, and another movie on this list as well, we'll talk about that in a little bit, Blade needs to be R. I'm never the type of person to say that, every movie has to be R, that type of thing, but there's certain types of projects where I just feel like they don't really work if they're not R-rated. This is a vampire movie. There's vampires. You know what vampires do? They suck on people's blood. I don't think I can possibly watch a movie where vampires are involved in it and it's not going to have some sort of gore attached to it. It just feels like it has to. I don't want to see a movie where they have to cut back on things. They have to, you know, like they can't show a lot of the blood and stuff because it just doesn't feel like it would fit in a Blade movie. I want to see Blade slicing up vampires like crazy. I want to see these vampires causing actual big problems, you know, by killing people and seeing the blood and the gore and all that. And I want to see a lot of dark things happen here. Yes, you can have some dark themes, you can have some scary things with being PG-13, but you can't go that far with it, and I really want them to go far with it. So if it's R-rated, I think it's going to be a lot higher on my list, but for now, because I'm a little worried it might not be, it's just going to be here at 7, but I'm still really looking forward to it. Number 6 is going to be Daredevil Born Again. Now this is kind of the same thing where I really think it needs to be TVMA, which is the same thing as R, just for TV shows. I'm worried it's not going to be TVMA. I'm worried they're going to make it TV-14. I'm also worried they're going to MCUify it, just like with Blade actually, same thing. I'm worried they're going to turn Daredevil into, and not even just the Daredevil character, but the overall show and the tone of the show, into something that it shouldn't be. I don't want it to feel like an MCU property, and I don't know how they can possibly do it without it making it feel that way, because every MCU show has felt like an MCU property in terms of like the tone. They haven't felt tonally different yet, and I was really hoping Moon Knight would be the tonally different show, but it wasn't. It had the same sort of tone as every other MCU show. So, which is not a bad thing, like all the time. Like I think that works for like Hawkeye, for example. That tone was great for Hawkeye. I think it worked great for Loki as well. But then certain shows, I just don't like it anymore. Like I didn't want that from Moon Knight. I wanted Moon Knight to take itself a little more seriously for a lot of it. Of course, you can have jokes and quips here and there, but not constantly where it feels like everything is being done for slapsticky humor. And I'm worried they're going to do that to Daredevil. I'm really, really, really worried. I'm only on season 2 of Daredevil. I haven't finished all through it yet, but I'm in love with the series. I think it's one of the best shows I've ever seen. And I'm really hoping when this comes out, obviously I'll be done with the series by then. Hopefully this can live up to the original series in as many ways as it possibly can. Number 5 is one I'm very surprised to put this high, but that is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So Ant-Man is a series, I really loved the first one, but the second one I wasn't a fan of. It was much lower on my rankings. I don't know, I wasn't crazy about it. Really wasn't crazy about it, but the first one I really loved. And I think a big part of that is obviously Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. He is incredible. He is incredible. But what got me so excited for this movie was the description of the trailer from Comic-Con. I know I said, oh, the trailers for Black Panther and She-Hulk, you know, are making them have an advantage over, make them have an advantage over other projects, but, and I said Phase 5 and 6 wouldn't have that problem, but obviously trailer descriptions came out anyways, so I guess in a way there's a bit of an advantage here for this one, but I mean, come on now, like, if you hear the description of this trailer, man, it sounds awesome. So first of all, what I've been hearing is that it's dark. Every other Ant-Man film has been kind of lighthearted, goofy, you know, comedic. This one, apparently, the trailer at least, I don't know if the movie's going to be this way, but the trailer was dark. It had some serious tension to it. You felt like something terrible was coming, and that's because of Kang the Conqueror, who is the next big bad villain in the MCU, which I'm really excited to see because he's unlike anything we've seen before in the MCU. Simply because he's not just a problem for our universe, he's a problem for all universes, which is what makes him so interesting and so different from someone like Thanos, where Thanos, he's just trying this one little thing where Kang is like, he has this interconnected mind with like all these other Kangs. He's like, oh, I've you know, done all sorts of things all around the world and such. We saw in Loki, and that was like a, you know, obviously like a good version of Kang. He wasn't like a, you know, evil like the ones we're probably going to be seeing in this movie. And just seeing him there already, I mean, he was given a fantastic performance, but the fact that we're going to see him as an evil version of Kang in this movie, probably multiple versions, is really exciting. We're going to be seeing MODOK as well, which is also really exciting. I'm assuming this movie is going to really be building up the rest of Phase 5. It's going to be the start of Phase 5, and it's going to really be building up the stuff that we're going to be seeing later on. I think people are gonna die in this movie. I would not be surprised if Hank Pym dies at the very least. It's gonna have stakes, and I'm really excited to see an Ant-Man movie have high stakes. So I'm really excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Number 4 is Fantastic Four. Coincidence, it ended up in number 4 spot, but yeah, I mean, Fantastic Four is something that we've all been looking forward to for so long, like so long, and I'm so glad it's finally here. I think the cast and the director is going to be a big impact on how I'm going to feel about this movie, how excited I'll be for it. Right now, we do not have a director. It was originally supposed to be John Watts, but he decided to do some Star Wars show instead, so he's not directing this anymore. And I'm hoping to see someone who has a lot of style to the directing. I really think there's a lot of directors that could do it incredibly well. I don't think Sam Raimi is going to do another MCU film, but if he was, I honestly would not mind Sam Raimi doing Fantastic Four, just because I think the Spider-Man Sam Raimi feel could definitely work well for a Fantastic Four movie for sure. There is something about the way I could see those characters being shot being really cool in a Sam Raimi directed style, but I just don't see that happening. But regardless, I'm just hoping to see a director direct this that is got a good style to himself. Of course, we might be seeing Doctor Doom in this movie. I mean, we should be. There's no way we're gonna have a Fantastic Four movie without Doctor Doom. So that's really exciting. I'm sure we'll even get Doctor Doom before this. I wouldn't be surprised if he appears in like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. There's been a lot of rumors of that happening. He might appear in the post-credit scene there, and then we'll be getting him fully in Fantastic Four, which would just be insanely exciting. And I can't wait to see how this movie's gonna unfold, because if we actually get a really great Fantastic Four movie, that'll be amazing, because we really haven't. I mean, I think obviously the 1999 or 1994 and 2015 Fantastic Four movies both suck, but the Fantastic Four from the early 2000s, both of those ones, I think are fun. They're kind of like cheesy fun. I don't really think they're bad movies. I don't really think they're great either, though. So if we could finally get a great Fantastic Four movie, that'll be awesome. Number 3 is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm a huge Guardians of the Galaxy fan. I love the first movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, not just Marvel. It's one of my favorite movies ever. Volume 2 is, I think, really great. A lot of people don't like it. I think it's a pretty solid movie. It's like a 8.5 out of 10 movie. I think it's pretty solid. Really love a lot of the writing within these movies. I think James Gunn's directing is outstanding. The characters are amazing. And just like with Ant-Man, we've been hearing some, hints about the trailer that was shown at Comic-Con, and apparently it's a really emotional trailer. And James Gunn's been teasing this movie like crazy. He's been saying it's going to be very emotional. There's going to be a lot of death. All these things that just make me so damn excited to see this. And apparently this is going to be the last Guardians film. I don't know if he meant this is also going to be the last movie that any Guardians character appears in, because I hope not. I at least want to see a couple of the characters appear, maybe in like Secret Wars or the Kang Dynasty. But if this actually is the last time we ever see any of the Guardians, it's going to be really emotional, man. I really just cannot wait to see what they do with this movie. We obviously have Adam Warlock being played by Will Poulter. There's just so much story that they can tell here with these characters, and I'm just like, I'm so excited. I'm so damn excited, man. James Gunn really needs to just do something really special with this movie, and I think he will be. I can't wait to see more Star-Lord. More than anything, Star-Lord's one of my favorite MCU characters for sure, so this is going to be great. Number 2 is going to be Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. So you might be wondering, why is this one lower than the other one? Well, it's pretty simple. I've looked into the comics a little bit, and that's the only thing I can really base my excitement on these two films off of. And also the fact that obviously they're Avengers movies, so they're going to be bringing in a lot of characters. Obviously, we're probably going to have a shitload of characters, not only from the, Infinity Saga, but also from the Multiverse Saga, all coming into this movie together. It's gonna be such a massive event. Like, I'm just imagining it now. We do have a director for the Kang Dynasty, and that is, of course, Destin Daniel Cretton, who directed Shang-Chi. So I'm excited for that, because he was a really solid director for Shang-Chi. I thought Shang-Chi was a really solid MCU movie, had really good choreography, really good directing, really good shots. So I'm expecting that to kind of carry over in the Kang Dynasty movie, and I think that's awesome. As it goes for the next film. We don't have a director yet, but you'll see why I think I'm a little more excited for that one in just a little bit. But for the Kang Dynasty, what I'm kind of expecting in this movie is it to kind of be a, again, massive battle sort of a thing like we did see for Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. This time against Kang, and probably multiple versions of Kang. Probably we'll see every possible evil version of Kang we can see in one movie. And I think we'll have a bunch of different characters kind of scattered around, not just the universe, but probably scattered around the multiverse, fighting different versions of Kang. And that to me is just so damn exciting. But, number one is Avengers Secret Wars. Because, like I said, I looked into the comics a little bit. Secret Wars just looks a little bit more exciting. Just because it has a heavy emphasis, at least on the certain comic runs I was looking into, on Doctor Doom. I'm a really big fan of the character of Doctor Doom, and I really want to see him be done right on live action as well as he possibly can, and I think he will be. And if he's going to have a main focus here, Kang will probably still be in Secret Wars, I'm sure. I don't think they're going to kill off Kang for good. Every version of Kang, I mean, I don't even know if it's possible, but we'll see. But I'm sure he'll also appear in some way, shape, or form in Secret Wars, but I think Doctor Doom's going to have a bigger focus in Secret Wars, whereas Kang Dynasty is obviously going to be focusing more on Kang. And I think Secret Wars is going to be the real multiverse of madness that everyone was expecting from Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I think this will actually be that multiverse of madness that everyone's looking for, where we're going to see a bunch of different universes. We're going to see a bunch of different characters all around the place. We might see like multiple versions of our characters that already exist. We might see like a bunch of versions of like, all the characters, like just a bunch of different universes, and our characters kind of hopping between them, whether it be, battling in one place and then just switching to the next place, or just us switching perspectives from one battle on one universe to another battle, another universe, and just seeing Doctor Doom trying to take control of all that and whatever they do with that. And though it's going to end it's going to end the multiverse saga. It has to be huge. It has to be bigger than Endgame. Like, it just has to be. Like, I think it will be. With all the new characters they're introducing, probably all leading up to this, they might even have X-Men characters here. We might be seeing the mutants by this time, so we might have mutant characters already in the story in this film, and that just excites the hell out of me. Even if we don't have the mutants yet, they don't introduce mutants till Phase 7, which obviously we have, Ms. Marvel, but I mean like full on like X-Men mutants. I don't think we'll see that till Phase 6. But what if we don't even see it till Phase 7? I'll still gonna be just as excited for Secret Wars. But just think about it. We might have so many characters here, and it's just gonna be one of those event movies that I think is gonna be just as exciting, maybe even more exciting than Endgame. So everyone's saying, oh, you can't top Endgame, you can't top. I think they can. I think they can. Maybe not for your own personal excitement. If you outgrown the movies, if you just don't have interest in MCU anymore, that's different, of course. But I think they can definitely build up enough hype for these movies and make them really damn exciting, just like those feelings we had for Endgame, Infinity War, and even No Way Home. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know your most anticipated MCU projects for Phase 5 and 6. I will see you all in my next one. Peace out.